What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Bret on the show. What's up, Bret?
Hey, man. How's it going? Nice to be back.
Yeah, going good. Good to have you back on the show. This is the 2020 Tennessee Titans season preview. Last year, they go 9-7 and finish second in the AFC South and go all the way to the AFC Championship game. Despite starting 2-4 and benching their quarterback Marcus Mariota, they ride veteran quarterback Ryan Tannehill and workhorse running back Derrick Henry into the playoffs. You remember they upset Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Patriots, upset number one overall seed Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and would finally lose in the AFC Championship game to the eventual champions Kansas City Chiefs and star Patrick Mahomes. Bret, were you shocked by how successful the Titans were last year? They seemed to get hot, and for a little bit there, Derrick Henry was the best running back in the league.
Yeah, the Titans, I feel, were not necessarily, I guess, a shock as far as how they went through it, but the fact that of what you saw from the beginning of the season to that point, it was shocking that it just changed around like that, as they had been dominant all year. But the fact that to pick up the way that they did is what most teams hope to be able to do at the end of the year. But it's typically with those who aren't flirting with whether they're going to be in the playoffs or not. So they made a great run there.
Yeah, they were fun to root for. I was picking the Titans. I picked them to beat the Ravens. I picked them to beat the Chiefs. So my luck ran out, but they were fun to watch, and Derrick Henry was almost impossible to tackle. And then how many teams start the year 2-4 and go on to the AFC Championship game? I mean, pretty crazy.
Right. That's the statistics or odds of that pretty low.
Yeah. Looking at who they add Vic Beasley, linebacker from Atlanta. They had tackle Ty Sombrello from Atlanta, defensive end Jack Crawford from Atlanta, and corner Jonathan Joseph from Houston in free agency. So the two big names there are Jonathan Joseph, Vic Beasley. What do you think about the Titans in free agency?
They did pretty well. They definitely picked up the Falcons there a bit, but they to sign Henry or put Henry on that franchise tag, and then re-signing your quarterback who led you, or at least helped lead you to what you did last year as far as your success, and then adding the additions that only improved that. Seems like they did pretty well for what they needed during the offseason. And I wouldn't say that they could have done much better. I'd be pretty happy with the way that they went about it, because if they're able to help a little bit defensively there, maybe they're not down to fighting, having to win so many games in a row at the end of the year to make it into the playoffs. But we'll see what happens. I think they're pretty confident. If they're going to franchise tag Henry and they just signed that 4-year deal with Tannehill, then I think these moves are pretty good.
Yeah, and they ended up signing Henry to a deal too, 4-year, $50 million.
Oh yeah.
After the franchise tag, so good deal on that. Being 2-4, going 9-7. I always say this: people are so quick to critique teams and say, "Oh, the team's bad; they shouldn't be in the playoffs." Whatever. It's hard to win the NFL every year. It's hard just to scratch 9 wins together. So to do that, and the Titans are a perfect example of getting hot at the right time and riding that momentum into the playoffs.
Right.
And they were playing well across the board. Veteran quarterback, great offensive line, solid defense. So, and then in the draft, they take tackle Isaiah Wilson out of Georgia in the first round, corner Christian Fulton in the second round at LSU, running back Darrington Evans in the third round at Appalachian State, and quarterback Cole McDonald in the 7th round out of Hawaii. Those are the notable picks. Now, we had Christian Fulton as a first round, pick in a lot of our mock drafts, and he falls all the way, I think, to pick 61. Um, that could be a little bit of a steal for Tennessee, getting Fulton so far down in the draft.
Yeah, that's another thing to add to their offseason moves there, aside from free agency. They did draft well, and they drafted the positions that they needed, along with some depth for positions where they felt they were all right for now. But the fact that you're right, he did drop down. That's a steal. Something that a lot of teams are gonna, I feel, be very upset about, that they let go or that they passed over and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was surprising, right? Like you said, first round. I think we all did uh, as far as our mock went. But if they did well as for what you would want to do if you were, I think, if you were a fan of the Titans, you should be pretty happy with the way that they made their offseason moves.
Yeah, if you're trying to, keep status quo or get a little bit better, but like get back as far as you did, get back to the AFC Championship game, possibly take the next step, get to the Super Bowl. So they made some decent moves, got some youth. Um, the players they lost in free agency is Delaney Walker, tight end, running back Dion Lewis, kicker Ryan Suckup, defensive end Cameron Wake. They traded defensive tackle Jarrell Casey to the Broncos. They also lost right tackle Jack Conklin to the Browns and Marcus Mariota to the Raiders, as well as Tajay Sharp, LaShawn Sims, and Darius Jennings. So they lost a decent amount. You're talking Delaney Walker, Dion Lewis, Cameron Wake, Jarrell Casey, Jack Conklin. I mean, those are some decent names, all names that, everyone knows. Do you think the Titans, despite losing all that, will be better than last year or about the same or worse?
I think they start off the season better, and it progresses in a way that you would feel ideal about, as opposed to needing what you needed last year. But yeah, you do lose a lot. Again, I think though, with their additions in free agency and the way that they drafted, signing those those deals with Henry and Tannehill, there has to be something there that they feel is going to be long term, or even now to go through the next several years. So I think if they avoid going 2-4 to start, then they should be in the hunt, if not in the playoffs, at least at a wild card.
Yeah, I agree. I think they get off to a much better start, like you said. I mean, the start of the season is winnable games. They start at Denver on Monday night, which I put that as a win. I know they got shut out the last time they played the Broncos, but um, I think they win that game. Then they got at home against the Jaguars. You could get out to a 2-0 start. Then you got, let's see, Titans at Vikings. That's decently tough. At home against the Steelers. At home against the Bills. So I don't see a reason why the Titans can't get out to a good start, be at least 3-2, 4-2, compared
Right.
to 2-4. Yeah.
It's more ideal, definitely a better opportunity. They can still do what they did last year if they wanted to, but it'd be a little bit easier to start that way and not have to play catch up and be forced to be in that position.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to play football when your back's not against the wall where, it's win or you're done. So, yeah, I mean, some good moves for the Titans. Here's a quote from Pete Prisco that I found. Let me know what you think of this. He says, the 2018 Jags weren't very good. One of those figment of your imagination teams, like the Titans were last year. End quote. Do we expect the Titans to fall off? I mean, what do you think of that quote, calling the Jags and Titans like fake good teams?
I mean, I think it's because of the fact, like, maybe they have more of a system quarterback that they feel, and that's
People
why I
put
think.
so much in quarterback. They're like Blake Bortles, Ryan Tannehill, and they just write you off.
Right, and I mean, yes, Jacksonville's defense back or then was,
Elite.
pretty unreal, and that could be the case as to why they were a fake good team with having, Bortles at quarterback. But again, you have that kind of defense. That's exactly what gets you there for that.
Yeah,
So
that's not a fake good team. That's a dominant defense with an average quarterback. I mean, those teams still win.
right, and if you can put that, I'm not saying that Bortles or Tannehill or system, I'm not calling anybody a system quarterback because they're still doing what what they had to do or
Yeah.
what they do now. But yeah, the Titans, you don't see a run like that. They made that happen, and it looked like they, had potential to be good. Had that been the start of the season, what would have happened? I'm not saying that they would have kept rolling like that,
But
but
yeah.
we at least got to give them a chance here because that's still something that they did as the position that they were in at the end of the year, and I don't think bad teams make those runs like that.
It's interesting that Marcus Mariota was the franchise quarterback for those years, and Titans fans were all backing him and saying that he could do it. And he got out to a 2-4 start and bench him a year later, and I don't think Titan fans are missing Marcus Mariota at all. They're like, let's go with Tannehill. Like he got shipped to Las Vegas, and they're like, oh, it's fine. Best wishes, but we got Tannehill now.
Right. Yeah, no, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be. I wouldn't be going back to or wanting to go back to that. Yeah, Mariota was the mindset, but it
Yeah.
didn't work out. So yeah, we might as
Yep.
well move forward.
It's a what have you done for me lately league. So.
Right.
So prediction. What's your prediction on the Titans for the 2020 season? What's their win total? What's their record? And then their win range?
I think that their record, I don't think that they're going to be worse record-wise than last year, even with what happened, especially with
Yeah.
the way they're going, or how they did in free agency and with everything else in the offseason. But I think that the Titans have the potential, like I said, to make a push for the playoffs, wild card-ish area.
Mm-hmm.
9-7, what
Yep.
I would say is the most ideal with a win range of 8-10, 7-10, not even 7, 8-10, maybe above one more.
That's
But I'm not.
exactly what I have.
That's that's the best way I feel. And even if I'm not going to say they're going to win the division, but at least make the playoffs, I think.
Yep. I have them 9-7. I do have them in the 7-10 win range because I do think they're not a great team. Like it's easy for a team like that to come back down to earth a little bit if the defense isn't doing everything right. If Derrick Henry isn't a complete monster like he was last year, let's say he drops back a step. Let's say Tannehill, doesn't lead the league in passer rating. Let's say he takes just a little bit of a step back. They could easily finish 7-9. But I agree that they're a borderline playoff team that can get hot like anybody and make a run. They're definitely in contention for the division title. And then you look at like AJ Brown is my star player. He's got the ceiling on this team. I think he had a hell of a rookie year, and I expect him to continue to keep progressing and be in the top 5 of wide receivers here soon, I think.
Yeah, they'll be interesting to see what happens with them.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, if Titans fans out there should be excited at least that the fact that they know that their team is headed in the right direction. So,
Yeah, you've seen what they're capable of last year, and
right.
they weren't far away from going back, going to the Super Bowl. If they execute, they had a lead late in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they did what they did and took out who they took out on the way gives me
Yeah.
hope, for the upcoming season. If I were, a Titans fan and just me, that's why I think they're going to be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, you show the ability to beat Belichick and Brady in Foxborough. You go into Baltimore and beat the reigning league MVP and the hottest team in football. Now looking at, players to watch. AJ Brown, like I just mentioned. Christian Fulton, who was, fell a little bit. That could be a good deal there. And, they got a good young defense. Jeffrey Simmons taking a step in the right direction. He's a beast, D-line, if he can stay on the field. So good shit. So, Titans going to be contenders. They're going to be right there. They're going to be a problem in that division. And the Texans and Colts are going to be fighting with them, trying to win it out.
Hey, don't cut out Jacksonville.
They're not a contender. They're not a contender. Hey, Jack fans, if you're listening to this,
I'm trying, guys. Not bad.
All right, well, good episode. That's the Titans season preview for the 2020 season. Hopefully, everything goes smoothly. We get a full 16 games, and it starts on time. Thanks for coming on, Bret. Good shit as always.
Thank you.
And have a good week, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. We're on iTunes now, so check us out there. Alex Leak and Friends NFL Podcast. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.